We have 100% attendance, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order. And so Mark, you wanna start off?
No, go ahead with the agenda.
Okay. The minutes from the last meeting, Rick sent those around?
Thanks, Rick.
Okay. Any comments? I didn't see anything. Steph read them. That's a good thing.
Always read 'em.
I didn't attend the meeting because I wasn't there, so I'll abstain, just giving you a heads up,
Here's a copy.
Mr. Chair.
There you go.
Move to accept the
But I
minutes.
still
Motion
can't vote on them.
Motion to accept in a second. I needed a second.
Yep.
All in favor? Aye. And,
Abstentions?
And one abstention.
Mike.
Two.
All right.
No, I
Too late.
wasn't there either.
Oh.
3 of us, that's terrible. We have such a good record. Anyway, but it's passed.
Right.
Really?
Treasurer's report.
Literally, yes.
Actually, the treasurer's report is status quo, as far as I know. Because Kelly is not the accountant anymore, so usually I would.
Oh, I gathered that from the town news, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know the details, don't need to know, all I know is that they're in a bit of flux, because that's kind of a major linchpin sort of thing.
It kinda is.
Especially before year end, so,
Mhm.
anyway, so as far as I know, these, and we definitely know Ryder and we know Open Space, the Hubbardston Trust, I don't believe there's been any activity, so that's the best I can do. Those numbers on the meeting are the same, the minutes. All set.
All right, invoices. Tim graciously donated the grass seed that he put in, so he's not gonna submit an invoice for that. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
And relative to the bridge material for Gates Hill and Mill Pond, that's the same. I'll submit that once we get the Mill Pond done. Land priority group, we haven't had a meeting since then. I guess a lot of that's just Bob's fault in the process of trying to get a house ready to sell in Bolton, so that's been a major time consumer as Tim will test trying to do that stuff.
Before you get off that, Bob, have we heard back from Monty or Anna?
No. Relative to Streeter Road?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that as a separate line item, but no, I haven't heard back from them. And Mark, with a significant email that was sent around the final version of the open space plan. And any comments or minor edits before we take a vote to
That'd be
approve?
really minor.
Comments?
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ditto.
Outstanding job. Thank you, Mark.
All right, I've got several follow-ups on that. Do we vote?
Oh, we ready to vote?
Go ahead and vote
Okay.
on the existing
I thought you were
draft.
gonna make a comment or something. All right, do I hear a motion to approve the final plan?
I move to approve the open space
Second.
plan.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's a unanimous vote to approve that.
Now you're gonna give us the.
Okay, yeah. So several items. One properly belongs in new business, but it's pertinent here. This plan is my swan song on the committee. I've resigned from the committee. I've been involved in town government for about 25 years now, and it's time to take a break.
So we'll see you back in 6 months then. Is that
Something
not
like
what you
that.
were thinking?
Taking the
Okay.
summer off.
Something like that. But yeah, I've found myself becoming increasingly short-tempered.
All right.
What limited tolerance I have for government work is getting consumed by my work with the state, so.
We understand.
Time to take a break from the town.
Mhm.
We're not happy about it, though.
But don't make yourself a stranger.
No, you haven't seen the end of me.
That's good.
I'll join the memorial Mike Stoll peanut gallery when necessary.
Wow. Had an impact.
And I'm definitely, you can definitely keep me on
We
keep
wanna
me
see
on
you.
the distribution list for work days and things like that.
And hike days too,
Alright.
maybe, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. However, with respect to the open space plan, so this completes it with the sole exception of a signature from the planning board, which I am dearly hoping to extort from them next week at their meeting. And then it gets sent in as final. However, we just got a new letter from Ms. Melissa Cryan,
Ah.
which is actually good news.
Oh.
But it's a to-do task for somebody, or it could be. They have changed the structure of the open space plans such that rather than being a 7-year action plan, it's now a 10-year action plan. But it's a limited time offer, but what they're saying is that if you revise the action plan chapter to go out 10 years rather than 7, they'll push out our expiration date on the open space plan another 3 years. It's currently set to expire in 2031. That would make it 2034, which is probably beyond anybody here's tenure on the committee.
On
I
the
would think.
planet.
So it's a really good bang for the buck. If you put a little bit of effort into extending the action plan, you get 3 more years, and you don't have to do this again.
Do we just change the date?
You would like add 3 columns to the table for
Oh.
when you're gonna do things.
Oh, that's the 3 additional years.
Yeah.
Do more of the same, do more of the same, and do more of the same.
So
I just filled out the 3 columns.
So, well, Tim's taking notes, so he can read the letter and then pass it on to Bob. But I highly recommend it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure we've talked about things that we could do that are not in the plan now, that we could put in years 8, 9,
Oh.
10.
Absolutely. I don't think it, just per what Mark said, it wouldn't take a whole lot of effort to update that for 3 additional years. And
What happens if we fail to accomplish?
what's the timeframe when?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so the expiration date on this is September
25th, 30th.
30th.
We have to answer?
You have to
Yeah.
give her the revision by then, and then she'll extend it out 3 years.
Relative to updating it, what kind of subsequent review is required?
I'm gonna say nothing.
I'll vote for that.
No, wait, you're saying nothing as you're being
Just take the
silent?
existing
Or
plan.
you're saying nothing needs to be
I'm
reviewed?
in my personal
These were
opinion,
signed.
nothing further needs to be done for review.
Except
beyond-
update it for 10
beyond this
years.
committee.
Okay.
Thank you, that's awesome.
I'll take a crack at, I'll be in charge. You're looking for somebody to take that on, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not.
Right,
yeah. I mean, that's what
We're, I don't think Mark is looking, I think we're looking to have somebody take that.
Right.
Good point.
I propose that Bob takes it on. He already suggested it.
So on a related note, you've got a note down here about the Google Drive.
Yeah.
What's going on with the Google Drive?
What was that about?
I'm not, I went to try and get to the Google Drive, and, well, let's see, maybe other people, Mark was around, I think Mark may have caught part of that. About a month, 6 weeks ago, it was in here, and,
Oh, Your
They-
personal account isn't able to get in, yes?
Yeah, so what happened was, they said, well, you're not using the new fancy Microsoft version of how everybody in the town communicates, and it costs some money. He said, well, if you don't use it, can we just give that to somebody else and save the town some money? And so, not thinking about the Google Drive,
Yes,
I said,
yes.
sure. And then I went to go try and look for that, and I just logged into the old town email address. That didn't work, and so since that didn't work, I couldn't get to the drive.
Right.
So I have since talked to Nate, and he says, oh, that's still available. And I said, okay, where is it? And he says, well.
Oh.
He says,
He just-
I don't know. And then-
You've got a personal Google account, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He, as an administrator, he just needs you to invite you to the,
So at any rate, he's gonna talk to the person that set up the Microsoft account, because he said it didn't get thrown in the trash, but I haven't heard back from him, so I've gotta follow up to see how I can get to it.
I'll talk to him. I don't think I can do it. I've got authoring privileges on that drive, but I don't think I'm an administrator that can invite a new account to it. I'll check though,
All right,
and I'll follow. I was concerned that the Google Drive was going away. And with respect to this, you know, that's where I'm gonna file all the open space
yeah,
plan
yeah,
files.
yeah, no, and there's a
So I wanted
lot
to make
of-
sure it wasn't
there's
going
a-
away.
There's a lot of good information on there,
Oh.
so.
So is the town switching to Microsoft Office or Works or whatever it's called?
To
Teams.
OneDrive? I don't
Yeah,
know.
Teams.
I'll-
I'm not sure what it is either, but
I think,
it's
I think it's
a-
still, I'll make sure, but I think the Google Drive is still intact. It's just that they gave Bob's account to somebody else as a new email account.
Yeah.
OneDrive would be the
That would be the Microsoft
the
equivalent.
don't-
Microsoft equivalent of
Yeah.
I mean,
Google Drive.
don't we all have access to doesn't anybody have access to the documents in the?
In the
Yeah,
Google
no,
Drive.
we
This-
can all get it, It just, you can't right now, has anybody else tried?
I don't know where it is.
Yeah, no, it's still working.
Oh, okay, he just, okay.
It's just
Because
his
the email
personal
address
login is not.
The path was via the email, but the email that I had for that is gone.
Yeah.
So how to get
But
to the
our path
drive?
is just our regular email.
Yeah, yeah, we should be able to get to it.
Yeah.
I could get him in.
Yeah. All right. I just wanted to make sure that
Okay.
that wasn't going away before I use it as a
Well,
archive
maybe-
location.
Yeah.
Maybe you should,
I'll confirm.
get a hold of a flash drive and back up everything on that.
Yeah, I can do that too.
I mean, all the.
I've only got
There's a
6
lot-
or 7 sitting under the monitor at home.
There's a lot of data for the plan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
A lot of data for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so, anything else with the open space plan? We all set there?
I'm all set with the open space plan. The
Okay.
next topic was Mass Trail Grant update.
Yeah. So, the updates there, the Williamsville Road beacons, that grant is closed out.
Okay.
I haven't gotten word yet that it's passed on to accounting for reimbursement, but I presume that it's about in that stage at this point. Malone Road, our revised budget has been approved for omitting the deck and going to a ground level pad instead. Along with the revised budget, which reduced our match, largely cutting the DT 15 out of the match amount.
Okay.
They didn't squawk about that at all, so that's good.
All right.
What I'm planning on that project is that I will continue as the project manager
Yep.
for it through the end of summer to get the trail construction complete and the furniture complete. At that point, theoretically, we should have like $4 or $5 grand left in the budget for interpretive signage. And I will pass that along at that point to somebody on the committee here
Okay,
to finish off that portion of the project and manage it and close out the grant. The grant the grant is good for a year from October.
October
So-
26th. right?
Yes, yes. So once we get the priority stuff of actually having the trail constructed, furniture in place, then you'll still have a year to use the remaining funds for whatever bells and whistles can be appended onto it.
You also mentioned that, that when a lot of the grants close out, there's often money left over,
That's also a possibility.
and how do we learn about that?
You would have to talk to them at Mass Trails and say, hey, we've got $5 grand here, but we've got this other great idea. Well, look at this beautiful trail we have. We've got this other idea. Got anything else you can give us?
Okay.
So that's how that would work. Yeah.
who's
How
in
do you-
charge of that, Mass Trails now, is it still the same?
They're in flux right now. They're the guy that was overseeing that has left, and they're looking to hire two new people. But anyway, I'll give you a cut. Amanda.
Is it Lewis?
Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah, is still the head of the.
So she
Head
wasn't,
of the-
the lead, or what was her status? I thought she was the lead. She's not the lead?
She's the head of the group.
Oh, okay.
The program manager that was dealing with the grant, the busy work of administering grants and stuff is now gone, but Amanda's still there.
How would the invoices work for the 10K from CPA? Do they go through you and then, and you don't, that may be a question you don't have the answer to, but.
It'll be a direct, it doesn't have to come through this committee. It'll be a direct submittal to CPC.
Okay, because we now have an assistant, Leanne, who's,
Yeah, I know, Leanne.
And I'm not sure if that's in her purview or not. I know she's gonna be taking notes and so it's kind of in flux too, but that's the whole point of staying up on it and having one person be the follow through, So, but we're not there yet. Invoices aren't gonna be flowing in.
No, construction schedule, we are under contract at this point with Terra Moore. The proposal that they submitted was for a start date of May 1 and completion by August 1. He's not really gonna start on May 1.
I was just gonna say, it's like in 3 weeks or.
He all along, he's been planning on later in May. But at any rate, all the paperwork is in place, so it's all systems go. I have been talking with Amanda about, I was a little concerned that the money that funds this grant program is federal.
It's a little volatility there.
And that's still where it's sitting. It does not sit in state coffers until they process our reimbursement request.
Mhm.
So I was asking her for some feedback on how secure do you think this is?
Well, we've awarded the contract, so if
if the money's taken away, we're gonna probably have to pay something, because when you terminate a contract, especially, you know, once you're into it, and I guess timing will be everything. If you're at near the end, you're gonna pay the whole thing, you might as well, or close to it, you might as well just do it.
Well, that's why I was asking before we
Yeah.
actually started incurring any costs. But I'll forward you the email, but
Okay.
she's quite confident that everything is okay.
Okay,
Right.
good.
Yeah. I wonder why.
Because even though he hasn't mobilized.
As long as we don't mention DEI anywhere in the contract documents.
It's an all-access trail.
Oh, my word.
That's the whole point of the trail.
Well, that's, that, yeah.
Um,
We're gonna be doing
Oh, that was, that was the other related item. So anyway, I'm gonna contact Walker over at Terramore and schedule a site walk for
Okay.
like in the next week or two.
Like a pre-construction conference-ish?
Pre-construction, finalize exactly where we want the corridor to go, flag any of the snags that we need to remove. And then we'll need to have a workday sometime in the next month before he
Okay.
starts to do the final clearing,
So he'll probably start sometime early May, is that what it looks like?
late-ish May. I mean, well, I'll talk to him and see what his schedule looks like
Okay.
at this point, but
All right,
I'm not expecting before the middle of May.
okay.
Actually, I wouldn't want him out there in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
quite soggy still. I
Yeah.
noticed you had been
June.
out there again recently.
June would be better.
Did I?
No? Oh, that wasn't you?
I think I've been focused on other areas, yeah.
No, I assumed it was you. Somebody dragged an antenna out of the woods and left it there at the parking lot.
That
Which is
sounds
your
like
usual
me,
MO.
which is, but not guilty today, at that
An
time.
antenna?
Where would, I mean, that's fairly, how would you find that if we haven't seen it? I mean,
You just wander, you'd be amazed what
What's
you
out
find in
there?
the woods.
Maybe it didn't come out of the woods, and maybe somebody just dumped it
Dropped it
there.
off.
Oh. That is not my MO.
I was just figuring it came out from one of those remaining metal scrap areas.
Mhm.
I don't know. But, so anyway, I'll put out put out further information on a sidewalk and a workday.
Okay. Good.
And that's it.
All right. Trail maintenance projects. The new trail at Mount Jeff, Steph and I had done, probably a quarter of a mile, maybe a little less, on the first section of that trail that's been laid out. We had, in January, we had signed up, we're part of Bay State Trail Riders, and they were having the National Trail Day event here. They're gonna stage things at Ray Sawyer's Field. And part of that was not anything formal, but we were planning on using that new trail as part of that event for them. And so we've started on that, and we plan on getting that done for that event. That event is on National Trails Day, is June 8th. The Beaver Pond, that'll come in probably in the summertime now. Hopefully it stays as dry as it is to work on it. It's a great time to get it laid out exactly how we want it, because it's basically dry. Mill Pond Bridge, that'll be, as soon as we get done with that, the first effort there, we'll get going on the Mill Pond Bridge. Be good to get that fixed up. And Mill Pond Trail reroute. I'll jump ahead on this. I've been working with Maddie Stoddard relative to potential projects there was some initial thought about doing the new trail loop, but she's not available to work on that. She's in a foreign exchange program, so she's not gonna be available for April or May to do any kind of project effort. So I was trying to find something that would work into a June timeframe. I have a meeting with her on Sunday to go over potential things. The updated thoughts that I had were doing maybe what I would consider like the first phase of trying to fix Mill Pond. We had walked that, I don't know, at this point, 3 years ago, where you stay up on that high ground by the big oak and go down and find your way across to the elevated knoll before it drops down. That avoids the rocky section and at least one really wet spot to get out to that point. And then another phase would be to continue from there to get out to the stream. Then I also thought, in conjunction with our grant, the All Access Trail, I didn't bring a map with me, but Tim and Mark had found an avenue to go from essentially where the DCR bound is, or somewhere very close to that, back over to the field, and then down the edge of the field where the old trail is, to a point where it cuts in. So right now, there's a loop, a small loop from the parking lot that goes essentially straight out of the parking lot down to where we did do some work. Takes a right hand, there will be a trail there, a new trail, part of the current project, current grant, to take a right out over to the field and then back. So there is a small loop that's part of the current grant. At that intersection where it takes a right headed out to the field, there'll be an intersection that is a one-way path, which is the current grant, out to Dottie Rock, and then obviously just back, because that's a one-way, so there's no loop in there. What this would offer would be another short loop, but notably probably at least double, maybe even a little bit more than that first loop. So it would offer folks another shorter loop, people not wanting to go all the way out to Dottie Rock and back. So, I don't know if there's any comments on that. That was something that I thought could be worked into an option for. So, and she's really focused, there wasn't much interest in the interpretive sign projects. And they just felt that it was more interested in doing trail work, a little bit more teamwork, maybe getting more people involved, more coordination or whatever. So that's what's on the table relative to that. Anybody got comments, Tim?
I ran into Alicia and she happened to mention that her storybook signs are ready.
That was, I had that as a thought too, and so I have contacted, I have contacted Tricia just in the last day or so relative to what the status of that is. And they have, because I thought that might be something appropriate as well. But they've already got the vast majority of what they want to do done. Tricia's current plan, since it appeared to her that things weren't ready for permanent installation, they've got posts in buckets, so they have essentially a movable, quickly installed storybook scheme, and they already have posts in probably 5-gallon buckets that they can put up at different spots even. So if we're working on the trail and it's not ready to put there, they could put them somewhere else.
I mean, unless she wants to go back around between the pines trail back in that direction. You're not gonna wanna set those out in the middle of a construction site.
Yeah.
Good.
No, and she's aware of that, so she knows that. So they might find some alternative location until everything is all set. Put them out on a temporary basis, in fact, relative to the final version of whatever's the words are, will be, a very robust material. Right now, they're just doing laminated,
Mhm.
paper that's just laminated so it'd withstand rain and whatnot without
Because
just
they
washing
usually
it.
change the stories.
What's that?
They change the stories, it's not always the same story. Change the book.
Yep.
So laminating is typically how they do it.
About how many buckets are part of this story?
I
Like a
didn't ask
dozen?
that.
Depends on the story.
Well,
If it's the Bible, a lot. If it's,
Right.
no, seriously, the land trust does them, and it
Yeah.
depends. So, you know, they try to keep it, depending on the book and the target age of the readers.
like up to a dozen, after that it gets pretty cluttery, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. and they're-
Okay, just saying, I don't know.
Yeah, I think I've seen, let's say in the range of up to a dozen,
Yeah.
which, as an aside or a good segue, if Barry Falls, has anyone seen the storybook there?
No.
Do,
Where,
yeah,
where is it?
it's
Mm-hmm.
at the wildflower, where the wildflowers are. Go to the big parking lot
Right.
at the field, let's say, and just go straight ahead into the pine, the woods. It's up there, it's kind of marked.
And
It's fairly
cur-
recent, it's in
it's-
the last year-ish
And
or
so
so.
it's currently there. the
It's
buckets
currently
are-
there, yep.
Oh,
Would it
okay,
make
I could
sense
check it
to
out.
have her install it at Mount Jeff? You know,
Yeah, for a little
you could
while.
make
Yeah.
a short loop by going over to the giant beech tree and then go north to the
Mm.
south edge of the big field
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
up to the, tie back into the Gates Hill Trail.
I don't think you need a long area, you know, you
Yeah.
don't,
That would probably work well.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
sounds like a really good
yeah.
idea.
So what would, that suggestion be? So right now, at the top of Mount Jeff, go right along the edge of the field, what is it, the east side, south side, or something like that, right by the woods, down to where Gates Hill goes down into the woods, and then swing back up by the beach, and then back. Is that what you're describing, or?
That's what I was thinking.
I think that's what I meant.
No, I
Is that-
just
it's
didn't follow
not
that.
gonna be very long. I
No.
me's it's only
Yeah.
a couple tenths of a mile,
It's a
even
good
if
start
that.
for her.
If that.
Yeah, if that,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a good area that for her to start.
4-year-olds have short legs.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I'll talk to her again and see what she's got in mind. That would be ready to go, so she could put the stuff in. Sounds like they're just about ready to deploy stuff now. All right. New business. All right, we'd already talked about the open space drive. Sand pit proposal development. My first comment was a short fuse. The proposals came in and didn't hear too much. Contacted Nate, in which he had set something up with their new Microsoft system. So he had a link that somebody could get to, and since it was a short fuse, and I just said, okay, I'll just go ahead and do it relative. I wasn't sure of Rick's status on it. And the way it was orchestrated, whoever was doing the reviewing was just given access to this link, which you could see there were 3 proposals, and then the scoring criteria. The 3 bidders that submitted something were company called Community Scale, Tie and Bond, and Niche. There was a scoring criteria, I didn't elaborate on that in here. But schedule, cost, although some of the things were a little bit silly in my opinion. It was essentially a fixed budget, essentially a 50K budget, so all the bidders bid 50K. So wasn't much to evaluate on dollars. It had to be done by August, and not surprisingly, they were all done by August. Although Niche did, they did finish theirs a little bit faster than some of the others did, so they were a little bit ahead of what the maximum time frame was on the schedule. I scored Niche moderately higher than the other two. The ranking ended up Niche, Tie and Bond, and then Community Scale. Most of them, from my read, most of them, there's only 3, were pretty boilerplate, just general and not many specifics on the project itself. The only one that was different was Niche, where they specifically noted environmental concerns like the rivers and waterways, et cetera, that are associated with that. And the other reason I sort of weighed more heavily with them was that they were much more community outreach centric. So there was a lot of words in there about engaging the community and taking input from the community as part of their planning process. So that's what happened, and I think that's been announced. But at any rate, the order of scoring was Niche, Tie and Bond, and then Community Scale. So that's what I have to say on that. There will be some starting activities, and Nate, probably because of the move to the new building, I haven't had too much contact with him relative to how this is gonna be structured. There will be an initial, just as far as the general approach, there will be a general effort to have a townwide meeting of some sort that people can go to get give general input relative to the company and what's gonna happen. The second aspect is there will be ongoing relationship with a group of people on a much smaller scale that will definitely involve the planning board as a focal point, but I believe there'll be a couple other people associated with that. So when I find out more detail on what that will look like, I'll let you know. Any comments from others? All right. I didn't identify this. There were only 4 reviews, and the way it was structured, it was like a blind response. It was, as opposed to what we did with the grant for the open space things that the MAC orchestrated. You know, there was a meeting where people had a chance to talk, and then result in a maybe take feedback, and that definitely affected some of the scoring that took place at that meeting. This was just, I don't know who the other 3 reviewers were. You did this was all just done online. You submitted your input, and that was it.
So there
A
wasn't
little bit different.
any inter-reviewer
Communication.
communication. Okay,
No,
that's what I heard.
Yep, no, and that's
Okay.
that's what was.
So did you feel that was effective?
What's that?
Are you feeling good about the way that was done, or do you feel like something was
I would
missing?
have preferred
the way
have
That's
something
what-
like what we did with this,
Orchestrated.
cause some people might have overlooked some things as you're going through
We-
a proposal review and
we
whatnot.
clarified things.
Yeah.
You know, like what a delivery schedule, you know, how much impact that had. Yeah. Although not being a reviewer, cause you don't know who the other three were.
That's right.
But I can say I was not one. But from what I heard, I prefer the process that Mark orchestrated.
It's
And
more-
that's one I'm more familiar with, and I think it's more effective.
It's more human.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know
We
if
need
there's
some of that.
protocols
That
for
word
those kinds
human.
of activities or not, but it seemed a little unusual to me.
Yeah, I don't, well, I don't know. I haven't heard it being done quite that way, but it's not something that's, you know, it's not laid out in statute or
it's
anything on
not
how
how
you have to
things
do
go,
this,
yeah.
Right.
so.
I know, but that's not very transparent if you don't know who the people are that were exploited. Am I being too picky?
Yes. No, 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 not at all.
Well, I
It's a-
mean, you know, open meeting law, blah, 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 everything has to be transparent, but he
Well-
doesn't, he was involved in it and doesn't even know who else was involved in
Well,
it.
yeah, but the transparency is there for the process. There was transparency for the process. You know, the individual stuff, it's just a process. It may not be the one we all like, but somebody had to make a decision and went with that.
Well, if the town's gonna spend money on it, sounds like they're gonna spend $50,000.
Yep.
I would think anybody
They
that
would-
wants to
yeah,
know
should know.
could find out.
And I'm not-
Exactly,
I'm
you
not
can
trying to be a
find
pain,
out.
but it just occurred to me.
Yeah, well, here's the part that I don't like about that, is that the criteria were not really valid. Like, we put out the amount of 50K, and you can't evaluate them on it because they all went 50K. Another criteria was the schedule, and we gave a goal line in the schedule, and they all took that up except for the one that was
A little
selected.
earlier than that.
A little earlier, but once again, effectively, the criteria that were used to evaluate them were not very meaningful because of the way it was
Yeah.
structured, and we gave them the answer, so to speak.
That's exactly it.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, all
all
right.
Yeah, the one advantage I can see for this approach is that the committee can't be dominated by a single personality.
That's true.
That is a very good point.
But that's the only advantage I can think of.
Hmm.
Mm.
You could go overboard on your comments that could indirectly dominate it, but
Yeah.
that is a very good, that's why we have a professor. That's why.
But anyway,
Good thought.
a thing that really weighed heavily was in, community input, because I know people like, Jess, I mean, it could turn into something phenomenal if they take advantage of the fact that there's, state forest land up there and integrate, you know, trails and stuff in it, there's waterways up there, that's, the Hubbardson Brook is up there, the headwaters of,
Templeton Brook?
well, Templeton Brook is on the south end of it. And the river, what river's that there?
Otter River?
Otter River.
Oh.
The headwaters of the Otter River are up there, so.
Well, Jazzy didn't mention the Otter River, so I'm gonna add it.
So that is Templeton Brook. Templeton Brook.
Oh,
Feeds
that-
into the
okay.
River.
And just even, you were given no copies, so what you got was online, and it was even really difficult. I did manage to extract some information off of it, but the only way you could get information off of it was to highlight a section and copy it and then paste it into Word or something, so, because I wanted to capture some of the information that was in the proposal, so it was a little bit unique, but. All right, so that's that. So there will be something coming up soon, because it's a pretty short fuse on the activity that they've got there. It's not a long contract, so.
When was it? What was the finish date?
What was that?
When's
August.
it supposed to be finished?
August or something, I
August.
think, late August, maybe the end of August or something, so it's not long. That's all I have, anybody?
Thank you,
So I-
everybody, for
I-
letting
I-
us stay.
I hope you noted that there is an open seat on the Open Space Committee.
Oh.
Thank you. I'm enjoying coming. Invite me again. No, I'm getting a lot out of this. Thank you. Thank you.
Just to follow up on that same item, could you do a screenshot as you're completing the evaluation? Cause I know you said you
Oh,
highlight.
I do have,
Could you just,
I managed to get a copy of what I submitted for scoring and whatnot.
okay, and how did you do that, in case this process, any of the rest of us get involved?
Essentially, that,
That's
the
what- okay.
screenshot type thing, so.
I've even taken my phone and taken a picture if I couldn't figure out how to do the screenshot and transfer that over. Thank you.
Quick question.
Oh, yes.
On the Pitcherville, because the aquifers affect Gardner, correct?
Yes.
Do we know if Gardner is aware of something going on here?
Yes, they are.
And I have a little hidden agenda here.
Not anymore.
Well.
Well, she hasn't said what it is.
What is it?
Gardner-
I'll let Rick
Hidden,
answer
what?
that. Cause I know the answer, but I know it because of Rick.
Is that
So-
okay? But I just thought, yeah.
Open and transparent.
The answer is Gardner is aware of it. Susan
They're
and I.
aware of it now.
They were not aware of it,
Up until
before
a
Susan
couple
and
weeks
I
ago, yeah.
ran into the mayor of Gardner at a Gardner High School
Play.
play.
Oh, you want
story.
Musical, yeah. And the people that we attended with were related to the
producer.
The producer of the play, and so we were in a conversation with them, and the mayor walked up and to congratulate her because he was, he's been very active in Gardner for getting money, grants for cultural stuff. He's really big into that. Anyway, so we were all sitting there talking together, and on the way out of the thing, Susan and I were on our way out, and the mayor was walking by on the way to his car. So I said, I wonder if he knows about this development project. So I flagged him down and asked him, and he said, no, he had no idea. And would like to have some input, since the Gardner, the Snake Pond well is on that property, or near that property, the aquifer that supplies it.
Good.
So he was gonna get in touch with Nate. I also sent Nate a note letting him know that I had talked to Mike Nichols, is his name, and Nate said he'd circle around with him, so hopefully they're talking. That's it.
Yeah, cause it's just a neighborly thing, and,
Yeah. So the answer, I'm sure we all are wanting the question that we want the answer to, Rick and Susan, is how was the production?
excellent, Fiddler
Okay.
on the Roof, high school kids, that
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of energy and sincerity.
Yes.
How'd you like the play, Mr. Lincoln?
Ah!
Mrs.
Mrs. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Ooh. I didn't expect that turn, but thank you all.
But anyway, so there should be a liaison of some sort, but I guess it's in Nate's court at this point.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, and he was a council person over in
Yeah,
Gardner, so they know each other.
they know each other well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nate's.
He was on town council.
Nate's comment back to me was,
Thanks, Rick.
yes. We've had many conversations, and the way he stated it was kinda like, they had butted heads in the past, but I don't know that for a fact, it just, that's what it seemed like to me, but I don't know. It's irrelevant. So Gardner knows about it.
And if they wanna
had
follow
not-
up and-
They had not been informed, until I asked them
Well, nothing has
You
happened.
spilled the beans.
Yeah, nothing's
Yeah.
happened, so.
But just as a neighbor, how
Yeah.
would you like it? You know,
Yeah.
how
No,
would you like to be
I'm
treated?
glad it happened.
Yeah.
Maybe not the way it happened.
Well, I don't know how else it would have happened, maybe, it was just like, oh, gee, you know, so, okay.
I'm gonna go backwards.
He was a little, surprised that he hadn't been contacted about it. The mayor.
Yeah.
At this point in the project, or at what point, you know,
Well-
I don't know.
I mean, was fairly, at least it was public knowledge that we were going to be developing that area, obviously.
If you go to the website and
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, our procurements, our RFPs are
Mhm.
posted.
Yeah.
Okay.
You ought to read the Gardner News,
And the Berry Gazette.
and especially the Berry Gazette. Yeah.
Yes.
That's where most of the Hubbardston news
She's gonna print
appears.
it.
In Connecticut, if there's significant development near a town line, there's some, like, I don't know if it's a regional planning agency, some other organization
Perhaps that,
that has to approve it.
Uh-huh.
It becomes a,
if
A
it's contiguous,
requirement?
right?
what's that?
A
Yeah.
requirement,
Yeah.
yeah, a formal requirement.
Yep.
So we're doing it informally.
Probably such a thing here too. I just don't know. but
Well, it's-
Yeah, well, if it had reached, you know, if there was a project that had reached permitting stage,
Right.
that was coming before the planning board or something, there would be a direct notification going to the Gardner Planning Board.
Yeah, but at
It's-
that point, if it's
it's-
already sort of a fait accompli, I mean, no, that's why.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same as notifying of butters when you're gonna be doing somebody property and that kind of stuff, so.
As a courtesy.
Not a big deal.
Water is not a courtesy, that's a necessity, but anyway, fresh, clean water.
So we've had a history lesson, an Italian language lesson, and now a French
It's
language lesson.
integrating the curriculum, I like it.
Okay.
What are these booklets for?
Oh, so.
Are we on
I was
the
at-
agenda?
I was at a meeting and
I'm gonna go backwards on the agenda.
help
Okay.
yourself
Right
if
after
you
this.
want one or more.
We just need one.
Who, let's see, who prepared this?
Professor up at the University of Vermont that I know that put this together. Been a big topic lately in the forestry community.
Oh, there's the U of V, Alexandra.
Yeah, Ali Kasiba, she's the principal author.
Cool. Thank you.
Can we make money on our woods to supplement the budget, the Hubbardston budget?
Maybe.
Maybe. I'm just wondering if, we got a lot of carbon sequestration area, right?
Well, most
No.
of it's state land.
Yeah.
We're talking about open space, land owned by the town, right?
Right, well, and/or private citizens if they're not taking advantage
Well,
of this.
here's the big challenge with making money off of it is that you need pretty accurate information on how much carbon you have and how much you're accreting or,
Okay,
adding
don't
to.
foresters do that?
Oh, yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay.
But to get the level of accuracy you need, it costs thousands of dollars.
Thousands, but
You
if
know-
the
you know anything about
payback is
statistics?
$100,000 of dollars.
You know anything about statistics and the number of samples you need for a certain level of confidence?
For carbon sequestration
For
or?
anything.
For anything.
For anything. I took statistics, but
Well,
it was a
okay.
long
You
time
need,
ago.
in order to get the level of precision required for most of these programs, you need to take a lot of measurements. And it doesn't matter whether you're taking them on 1,000
Is this
acres
the
or 10
state?
acres.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not, the state has little to do with it. I
Well,
mean,
someone
they're-
has to say the level of,
Yeah, there's.
that's
there
external from the science, that's just a arbitrary number that somebody said for this scientific effort, you need to go to level such and such.
Yeah, whoever dreamed up the carbon credit structure.
Right,
That
right,
doesn't-
there's different organizations that have
Right.
specified what carbon levels you need, and there's different amounts of money with the different levels,
Yeah,
but
right.
in order to establish what the forest has and what it's adding to, or how much it's changing over time, you need repeat measurements, and they're coming up with smarter ways to do it using satellites and so on, but it's still fairly expensive.
Okay.
So it used to be that unless you had 1,000 acres or 5,000 acres, it was.
You
were
needed
gonna- you were gonna-
enough.
You were gonna spend more money getting the measurements than you
The
get
data,
from
getting the data, okay.
than you'd get from the carbon payments.
So we can't walk up the road to Peter Sam in the Harvard University Research Forest, and aren't those people pretty free with their data? And
It's
For
not
their,
their
for
data.
their land.
Yeah. That's when we say, hey, would you like to have another area close by, so you don't have a lot of travel, but you can check against, you know.
Well, they charge for, if you wanna have a group come and do a tour there, so
Yeah,
I think they would charge for this too.
I learned about their budget and how they have to fund the forestry or whatever program is there. They don't get, it's not like a general fund from Harvard. No, they're like an enterprise activity, and they have to pay for their way. So yes, I am familiar with that. They let me know that in
This is-
so many words.
Um,
And I understand that process, yeah.
This
Painful.
This book's now at least a year old, I think. So the carbon payments section is already probably a little bit dated.
Dated?
I met a guy from Texas, who, or the company's in Texas, that's got a new way of providing carbon credits. And it sounds like that would work on smaller acreages, so if anybody's interested, I can send you a link to their website. You can read about that one, which I don't think they were in existence when this was published.
Yeah, I am interested. And you were right, 1 year, spring of 2024, Tim.
All right, I'm gonna go, you all set with that? I'm gonna go backwards in the agenda, just one thing that I skipped over, and that's Gates Foundation area, but we can talk more about it the next time. But 2 points in that, if we're gonna do anything relative to the foundation itself, inside it, then we need to think about that, but I'll make sure I bring that up earlier in the meeting next time. And then the second thing is, through the bridge building we do, I've come across a good supplier of HDPE lumber. And one of the bridges was partially repaired by Joe. There's a couple new boards in it, but even that's not in great shape. And the other one is in very poor shape.
The picnic tables?
What?
Picnic tables.
Picnic tables, what did I say?
Bridges.
Bridges.
Same thing.
Whatever. Close enough. The, I can send around, with the information that I've got from this HB company, and again, buy pallets worth of stuff, and you can get it in different colors, et cetera. And obviously the stuff will last essentially forever, and it's a ultraviolet protected material and whatnot, so I think it's maybe a good time to start thinking about that. So both of those things associated with the Mount Jeff talk there. If we're gonna do something with the foundation, maybe start thinking about who might wanna head up that effort, and then if we should replace some picnic tables. So, but I'll bring that up at the next meeting. What do you think?
Just to follow on that thread, the ultraviolet protection, do you know what the mechanism is for that? Cause you said
There's- there's
HDPE, high density
High-density
polyethylene.
polyethylene, high-density polyethylene, essentially your milk bottles. That's where they get most of it's recycled material.
Right, but how is the?
They put inhibitors, so they put
Okay,
they put
okay,
inhibitors
that's it.
into it.
Got it? Because a lot of HTP is not resistant to
Right.
UV.
Right.
Personal experience.
Anything else? Oh, next meeting.
Did I miss the last agenda item?
Did I skip over one?
Streeter Road?
Oh,
Did-
where did I
did-
put that on?
did I-
That was
Have
earlier.
See, more language.
Add in Spanish in.
That was earlier, Mike. You missed it.
Yeah,
No news.
I'm gonna go back and watch.
Okay.
Okay. No, did I miss it?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
it was
she
just,
said
it
it
was
was
very
just,
quick.
I asked
Oh.
about it,
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
and there was no updates.
Okay, thank you, I apologize.
That's all
Yeah,
right.
that's all right. Keep
So
us
we-
on track.
Mhm.
As far as the next meeting goes, Bob, is this the March meeting?
This is,
yes, essentially it was the March meeting, but that doesn't mean we couldn't have one in late April or beginning of May, so.
yeah, it does. Well, what deadlines are we looking at of any sort?
Do we have significant agenda
Well,
items to
uh,
warrant meeting in a couple of weeks, I guess?
Well, you could have one
I think you should
on
meet
May
twice
first.
in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
You're not here. I know where you were going with
When-
this.
Mark, so when does this take effect?
Tomorrow.
Now.
Midnight.
As soon as. As soon as.
In about 5 minutes, huh?
I gave him a high, soft pitch right across the letters, and he hit it out.
Yeah.
We didn't pre-plan that either.
So we're.
How about Thursday, May first? That skips into the beginning, and then that would allow essentially a 4-week span to have one in late May.
Sure.
Thursday, May
That sounds-
1st. Okay.
Is May first okay?
Sure.
All right, Mark.
Shush.
All right. Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,